Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here, and welcome back to our deep dive into the realms of 4 Against Darkness, and our kind of somewhat detailed look at the little mini campaign in the Mists of Warunor campaign expansion in the Lantern Issue 2. So we've been taking a little bit more of a detailed look at this, just to kind of get the idea of a more advanced campaign style play of 4 Against Darkness. So if you remember, last time we had moved into the village of Warunor, and we have to go and we have to explore the plains, and we need to search for 6 clues in order to find the next part of our quest. And we also have a side quest, which was to kill 11 goblins. So I'm not going to play the entire campaign on camera, because I have a feeling that if you play this campaign as rules as written, it can be quite long, mainly because you are having to randomly locate 6 clues. There are dungeons, sub-dungeons that you can go to for not even side quests that you can discover while you are in the plains. So there is a lot to it. I think you could probably spend like a week or two playing just this little campaign. But I did want to show a little bit of some of the details of exploring the plains so you can get an idea of how that works. And then you can just kind of see the opportunities that you have with 4 Against Darkness, and there's so much that you can do with only a few pages and a few charts. And so it is very easy. It's a very easy game to expand, and it would be also a very easy game to write your own things for. So if you remember correctly, we went to the elder or the mayor, and we found out our quest here, and that was our main quest table. And we had to do these 4 things in order. And the first thing we have to do is we have to find 6 clues. Count any clues you gather on your journey. When you reach 6, you found enough information to shed some light on the mists of Warunor. We're trying to find out why this mist is coming into the village and causing all the havoc. And so we need to explore the plains in order to find the 6 clues. And here we have our plains of Warunor, which is to the south of the village here. As you come in, you go to G, you go to the plains there. And the plains of Warunor here, it says, the plains were famous for their rich wildlife. A few weeks ago, a strange fog appeared. It became dangerous to cross the plains. Many who dared went missing. A few returned with stories of whispering voices and strange lights in the fog. The plains are your starting point. You must explore this region, drawing a map on a square grid. The mist seems to alter the structure of the land itself. Every time you enter the plains, you will have to generate the map once again. As soon as you enter the plains, roll on the terrain creation table to determine which tile you discover. Mark it with the first letter of the terrain type. Each tile is 3 by 3. After revealing the tile, roll on the terrain event table. Draw the next tile on the side you have chosen to travel to. To go back to town, you must return to the starting tile. So here we have our map where we're going to be drawing our plains. Here we have our starting tile there, so we need to figure out what that is. And then here we have our 4 characters: Sante, the male monk; Mork, the male barbarian; Mara, the female cleric; and Jaro, the male rogue. All of them are at level 2, except for Jaro is at level 1. So there are a few additional rules to some of these characters because I have leveled them up a little bit. I will probably forget some of those, so we're just going to have a really, just kind of a basic example now. And here is my marching order. We have in position number 1, we have our rogue, just in case we find any traps. In position number 2, we have our Sante, our monk. In position number 3, we have our cleric. And in position number 4, we have our barbarian. You'll just have to pretend that this is a female mini for our cleric. So what do we need to do? We need to explore the plains. And so we need to turn to the terrain creation table here. And our first square that we are moving into, our starting square, we need to figure out what kind of plane terrain it is. And we have a 1. So if we look at the 1, it is a forest. Eerie looking trees block your way. You may slash your way through with weapons, roll on the terrain event table, or move in another direction, creating a different tile. Okay, so we're going to want to move through that. So we're moving into here. So this is the forests. So it's a little weird. There are a number of terrain types like this, where it says if you want to move through, you have to do something. So I would imagine that we would pick a direction. So let's say we wanted to go, continue going north there. So now we need to see, we can either slash through it with weapons, and we can move into a different direction. We're gonna slash through with weapons. And so let's take a look at the terrain type, or the event, and see what we get. So we need to look at the terrain event table, which is right here. The map creation part of this plane, it's worded a little strangely. I wish it was worded better. But what did we find in our forest hex here, our forest square? An ambush. You are surrounded. Roll on the plains vermin table. All right, so we just got ambushed. So now we need to find the plains vermin table. There it is right there. So let's see what vermin we come across. 2. Okay. 2d6 red kobolds. They're level 3 vermin, no treasure, morale 1. So we could provoke a reaction, which if we wanted to provoke a reaction, we would roll a d6, and if we rolled a 1, they would flee. If you roll a 2 or 3, they flee if they are outnumbered. If we roll a 4, we could bribe each of them, or if we roll a 5 or 6, we have to fight. I am just going to fight them. So I'm going to roll 2d6 to see how many red kobolds we're going to face against. And 9 red kobolds. Okay, so we have our minion sheet here, our enemy sheet. So we are fighting vermin. They are red kobolds, and they are level 3. And there are 9 of them. So you want to keep track of this. If they were minions, we would get a chance. We would get to add those to the total to try to get 10 minions in order to gain an XP roll. Vermin do not count towards your XP earning, so you don't really get anything for fighting kobolds. These are just the trash mobs that you have to go through to continue the game. So these are level 3, so that means we need to roll a 3 up or higher to hit, and we need to kill 9 of them. They only have 1 hit point each, so we will be attacking up to 9 of them before we can move on. Okay, so one thing I forgot, since the minions are ambushing us because we got an ambush, then the minions get to, or the vermin, I guess you should say, they get to attack first, or they get to react first. So we need to roll on the reaction chart, and that's going to be a 1d6 roll on the kobolds page there. And so we rolled a 1. Reactions 1d6, 1, they flee. So the kobolds jump out in front of us. They see that we're heavily armed, and they tuck their tails between their legs and run away. So that was kind of an uneventful first square there through the forest. So we're going to continue north. So let's see what we find now. 3. All right, so we find a swamp. So I'm going to draw my 3x3 area here, and that is going to be a swamp. The mud on your feet makes walking difficult. Should you continue down this path? If you do, roll on the terrain event table at -1. So that's what I don't really understand about this particular wording, is you can choose to explore any direction in these planes here. So what does that actually mean by continuing down this path? I think what that means is we have to select a direction to go. And if we continue on that direction, then we have to do what it says. If we don't continue on that direction, so in this case north, then that would be considered a dead end. I think that's what this means. I have discovered that the wording in this particular expansion on how you explore the plains is, in my opinion, very poorly worded. So we're going to say that we're going to continue north here. And so we could draw our next square to see what that is. Now, one thing you could do is while you are exploring, you could go ahead and decorate your tiles to show, forests here, maybe some swamps here, something like that if you wanted to. And if you wanted to take your time, you could probably get really creative and draw a nice map. It wouldn't have to be so squared away there. But we're going to continue north, and so we need to subtract 1 from our terrain event table here. Let's see here. So 5. A strange melody we discovered. A strange melody. Somebody is playing a song. Do you want to follow the sound? If so, roll a d6 and look at the plains strange encounter table. You can only start this event again if you had rolled a 1 on the strange encounter table the last time you triggered this encounter. If not, repeat this tile as a path. Result 5 on the terrain creation table. Okay, so we are going to follow the sound, so we need to find the strange encounter table, which is, let's see here, strange encounter table. There we have the strange encounter table. So we're going to roll our d6, and we got a 4. So what do we find here? The melody becomes haunting. You have no choice but to follow it. As you approach, the melody stops, and a strange voice says, "Oh, other travelers, are you coming for my music? No, you are different. You are really interesting. You see a gaunt figure sitting on a stone. She wears leather armor and has white hair, a dark elf. Before you ask questions, she speaks again. She was called. She is here. She is waiting." For a brief moment, the flawless face of the elf turns into a demon-like grimace, and then she disappears. Okay, so I have a feeling that eventually we might discover the source or what that strange melody has to offer. So what I would do here is, since we continue north like this, I would just jot down here a strange melody. And then what our result was. So what did that say? If we rolled a 1, you can only start this event again if you have rolled a 1. We did not roll a 1. We rolled a 4. So I'm just going to write that down as well. So we have discovered this dark elf playing this strange melody. Maybe we will get to discover what all of that is. What is this all about? Maybe it has something to do with the fog. Maybe she's conjuring the fog. We don't know. I will say that Forward Against Darkness is a game that greatly benefits, at least for I think for a certain sector of game player, greatly benefits from journaling, from keeping a little journal where you can write in the details of your narrative as you play, as you discover things. Because as you can see, the passages that you are reading are quite limited. They don't have a ton of detail. They give you the bones of a structure, of a narrative structure, and they give you the dots of a narrative structure, and then it's kind of up to you to fill those in, to connect the bones, to connect the dots, to flesh out the bones and connect the dots as much or as little as you like. And it kind of depends on how I'm playing. I'm playing on camera right now, so I'm not taking the time to really go in and flesh out the story, but you are totally welcome to. And for me, that's kind of where the game starts to really shine. And I do appreciate that it gives you just enough to kind of, you know, fire off your imagination, or fire off my imagination just enough to where I want to roll, or to come up with more structure to the story. But anyways, we are going to continue traveling north from those swamps, and we'll do one more here. I rolled a 4, so that is a plain. So we continue into the plains. You can imagine the former beauty of the land in front of you, but an unknown evil seems to have corrupted it. You may continue on your way unhindered. So we don't need to roll on any chart or anything, but what we can do now is, because this was empty, we can go ahead and roll on our search chart to possibly find a clue. So our clue chart is on page 56 of our normal book, and that is an empty room search table. And so we roll a d6 and we see what we find here. 4. The room is empty. So if we rolled a 5 or 6, then we would find one of our clues that we would need in order to complete this part of the campaign. So the plains was empty, so I'm just going to write a little E there that we searched it and we found nothing. And so that is basically how we would play this first part. Again, I really wish this was worded better, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me about how, so for instance, this path. Okay, let's say we had rolled a 5 on one of our searches and we had find a beaten path. You step on a beaten path, but you don't know who or what has paved the way. Sometimes it's better not to know. You can continue your way unhindered, but if you do so, increase by 1 the number of minions encountered on your next minion encounter. Okay, so you've picked a direction, you've explored and found a path, but what happens if you don't continue on your way? Do you just move back to the previous square? I'm really not sure on how exactly you are supposed to use this. It takes a little bit of effort to play it how you think it should be played. So I can see some people having an issue with that. Personally, I don't have a huge issue with it. This is just a little 6-page mini campaign in a zine. I think the actual game itself is worded a little better. But as we would continue to explore the plains, we would continue to find our clues. Well, you can also find dungeons out in the plains. So you can find mines, or a crypt, a dragon's lair, a mysterious tower. A mysterious tower is one of the things we are trying to find to solve the mystery of this campaign. And if we find any of the dungeons, the dungeons out in the wilderness, well, then we turn to our normal dungeon chart from the base game, and then we play a little sub dungeon, a little kind of side quest dungeon, where we can find a boss. Perhaps in the dungeon we can find more clues, that kind of thing. And so you're going to be, you know, exploring the plains, finding your dungeons, exploring the dungeons, hopefully finding clues. And then once you get your 6 clues, then you can move on to the second part of the quest. And that is find the mysterious building hidden in the fog. If you haven't discovered it yet, venture out and try your luck. After you've accepted this quest, add +1 for every minion encounter you have defeated on the plains when rolling on the terrain creation table. Return to the Elder afterwards. You receive 1 XP roll. So that was the mysterious tower and the mysterious building. So that actually should say find the mysterious tower, because the mysterious tower is what we are looking for. And that says a green light shimmers in front of you. Maybe you found the source of these strange events. The entrance to the tower is blocked by a green light. You can only enter if you have a dragon scale talisman. So then the next part of the campaign would have you trying to locate the talisman, forbidden entry. To gain access to the Black Tower, see, so far in this little short few pages, they've called the mysterious building the Black Tower and the mysterious tower. They've called the same thing by 3 different names. That is a problem, and that is something where some proofreading really needs to be done on quite a bit of stuff in 4 Against Darkness. So if you decide to take the dive into this game, just know that there is this kind of thing you have to deal with. But this says that we need to find the ancient magic of the dragon scale talisman. The elder tells you that he can build a dragon scale talisman, but you must bring him 4 perfect dragon scales. With this, while this quest is active, every dragon you slay will give you 1 perfect scale. You receive 4 XP rolls upon returning to town. So now you have to go out and you have to find dragons, which would be one of the bosses usually in a dungeon. So you have to go out into the plains, explore the plains, find the dungeons, and then at the end of the dungeon, hopefully you would roll on the boss chart, you would roll a dragon boss. I think what I would do is I would just play, it's already a random occurrence that you're going to find a dungeon. So I would just play that every dungeon we find after we take this quest ends with the fight against a dragon. So that way you're only going through 4 more dungeons. And then after you find the dragon, after you get the dragon talisman, well, then you get to do this pre-constructed black tower dungeon. And you're going to go through it and you're going to read through the different rooms. And this is a pre-constructed dungeon. And then that is going to tell you how to solve the rest of the campaign and what you need to do. So that was kind of a detailed look. As you can see, there are a lot of neat ideas. You can do a lot with only a few pages and a few charts, especially when you couple something small like these few pages here with the base game or with another supplement. However, with 4 Against Darkness, just know that there are some speed bumps on the road. There are some uphill battles you have to fight to determine what exactly the rules are telling you to do in order to get to the fun. It is a little bit of an uphill battle. This is one of the more confusing that I've seen, but it's very easy to come up with your own solutions. And since it is just a solo game, as long as you're having fun, as long as you are making the kind of progress that you want to make, well then you can solve it however you want to and get to where you want to go to have that most fun. Again, you can also throw in some layers, dens and burrows, different things out in the plains. You could use your monster cards if you have any. There are a lot of different ways that you can spice up each individual game to tailor it to exactly the kind of experience that you want to have. But do know that going into this game, there are going to be situations like that. So, all right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed taking this little more of a detailed look at the Mists of Warunor and just kind of whetting your appetite about the kinds of different experiences you can have with 4 Against Darkness. The next thing we're going to take a look at, I think, is a couple other smaller expansions. And we will take a look at those, and then I don't think I'm going to play through them first. I'm just going to read through them first and give you some general impressions from what I think they have to offer. And then we're going to move into one of the big ones, and I'm really looking forward to that one. And just to give you a heads up, that is going to be Fortress of the Warlord. This thing sounds absolutely awesome and epic, and I really can't wait to dive into this one. And I think we're going to spend probably 2, 3, maybe 4 videos on Fortress of the Warlord. So all right, guys, we'll take it easy. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.